Welcome to Lion's Den, part B of our second episode. We had a little delays because of some technical issues. These things happen when you're young in the industry, but we're getting better, and we promise to get better and even more better. So I hope you had fun with TK Lion in his segment of Betrayal, which he dived deep into entertainment industry. I believe he talked about the legend Tupac. I will not dive into it. That is his segment, but I know you had fun. He's an old vibe and he's my boy. So I believe you had fun. So on my part today, I have two topics split 5 minutes each. The first topic is political betrayal, because our topic of today of this episode was betrayal. So I did subdivide my session into two: political betrayal and economical betrayal. And in political betrayal, I particularly sampled and flashbacked, checked into Hitler. And there's this in. Let me start by giving you a short history about what I have to say about this betrayal. So in November 1918, marked the end of the World War, and in June 28, 1919, which was on a Saturday, the Treaty of Versailles was signed, and it had 5 provisions. And out of the 5 provisions, one was that Germany should be disarmed unconditionally. So the Treaty of Versailles was signed to mark the end of First World War, which Germany had triggered into, and they failed terribly, and they surrendered in the November 1918. So following this disarmament policy, Germany was looking for a soft spot to start arming themselves. And apart from arming themselves, they were also looking for a partner to start, practicing their technology from the prying eyes of the West. So the Soviet Union was the best choice, and in the late 1920s and early 1930s, there was a lot of co-union, which mostly they were working to subvert the constraint of the Treaty of Versailles, which had strictly constrained them from arming themselves. So these punitive measures enabled Germany to start developing arms, and things followed. And fast forward in 1939, in 3rd May, Wednesday 1939, Joseph Stalin and Hitler, via their Minister of Foreign Affairs Monolov, signed a Treaty of Non-Aggression Pact between Germany and Russia. This treaty was supposed to enable both parties not to invade each other because of the rising political tensions. And Hitler, actually, the narrators of the story say how these men managed to keep straight faces while signing this treaty remains one of the greatest achievements of the historian totalitarianism. And these people, after signing the treaty, they ended up in 1941, June 22nd, which was on a Sunday, Hitler launched officially Operation Barbarossa. Operation Barbarossa was Hitler invading the Soviet Union. And he did this because he underestimated Stalin, who was his friend and had entered into a non-aggression pact together. And this was betrayal, because if I enter in a treaty with you, then there's no way you're going to invade my place that I had. There's no way you're going to invade my place, and we have agreed that there's no aggression pact. So betrayal in this case led to Hitler losing the war to a person who had carried out a great purge in 1937 and killed all his superior commandant in his army, that is Stalin. So Germany had the upper hand. Actually, Germany had conquered Poland and other small countries in 6 weeks, so they were confident enough to win against Russia. But because betrayal is betrayal, Hitler ended up losing. Stalin won, even if he was the worst opponent. And because of betrayal, Hitler has no place in history. Actually, no one wants to say anything good. Actually, Kanye West was banned because he said that he has learned a lot of things from Hitler. And people were like, what? Hitler? So yeah. And Stalin is still talked about as a hero to his nation in Russia. So that is one of the consequences of betrayal. And the narrators of this story say that, and as I conclude, the narrators of this story say that this relationship was doomed to fail. This is because the relationship was based on a weak foundation, and you should not base your relationship on weak foundations and without proper planning and just jumping into conclusions, because you'll end up getting betrayed by people like Hitler of our days. On my second segment, I want to talk about economic betrayal. And this is not really about economic betrayal. I want to talk about one story about Jamie Dimon, the chairman, president, and CEO of JP Morgan and Chase, and his mentor, Sandy Wales. So fast forward in flashback first. Jamie Dimon graduates in 1982 with the MBA from Harvard University, and firms are all over him, and they want him, and because he was he was the best in his class. So after that, Sandy Wales, who was a family friend and a long-time banker, because Sandy Wales was born in 1933, and Jamie Dimon was born in 1953. So there was a 20 years difference. So Sandy Wales was working in American Express, and he offered Jamie Dimon a chance to work as his assistant and protege. A protege is someone who works as a, what do I call that person? Mtu wa mkono, yeah. Someone to help you around, break down deals. And Jamie Dimon, through his period in American Express, proved to be very loyal, and his managerial skills stood out in black and white, and his financial outcome also came out very clearly. And in 1982, Sandy Wales lost his job at American Express because of a deal gone wrong, and they ended up becoming jobless. And because Jamie Dimon was not Sandy Wales, he was about to have his job back. But because of his loyalism to Sandy Wales, Jamie Dimon decided to end his job as well. And they ended up being broke. But at a point, Jamie Dimon and Sandy Wales propagated the merging of commercial credit, credit facility fund, and American Express, Travelers Group, a travelers company and a banking company in America. And this formed a financial company which was very diversified in terms of loans, hedge funds, investment banking. And because of that, Sandy Wales, rewarded his protege Jamie Dimon by making him the chief financial officer of their new formed company, which they propagated until 1998, when they merged Travelers Co. with Citigroup to form Citibank. Personally, I'm very passionate about Citibank because one of my greatest mentors, whom I'll not mention, works there in Citibank. So they formed Citibank or Citigroup in 1998. But things started getting sour now after becoming... first of all, Sandy Wales became the CEO and chairman of Citigroup, and Jamie Dimon was rewarded as the president of Citigroup and Citibank as well. So in 1998, things started falling down, and Jamie Dimon was fired by his longtime mentor, a man who he had quitted his job to support. And this is because being the president of Citigroup, he had shown time without number that he was capable of unseating Sandy Wales, who was becoming old and a sycophant and not a fashionable and uncool at the same time. And Jamie Dimon felt, you know what, this is my time to become the chairman of Citigroup. But because of betrayal, Sandy Wales fired his longtime protege and friend, Jamie Dimon. Jamie Dimon became jobless from 1998 to the year 2000, when he was hired as the chairman and CEO of Bank One, which was collapsing, and he was hired to salvage the bank, which he did successfully. And in the year 2004, he managed to enable, propagate, facilitate, and champion for the merging of JP Morgan and Chase and Bank One to form JP Morgan and Chase Co. Limited, a banking services which at this time, 20 years after the formation, is still the largest bank in the world by market capitalization. It's also a commercial bank and it's also an investment bank. Now, Sandy Wells is nowhere to be remembered in history. He has a place in history in the economic world, yeah, but he will be surpassed by his protege, who is now has managed to propagate the largest bank through crisis of the 2008, 2003, and 2012. For 20 years, JP Morgan has still managed to weather the storms to remain the top and the largest bank in the world. And Jamie Dimon has remained to be the undisputed king and the supreme leader in Wall Street. That was my take for today. So as you have seen from the two stories that I've given you, my long stories, betrayal has never ended well for the betrayers, and it shall never end well. It's good you give people what they're due, and don't let jealousy take your part. So learning from Jamie Dimon and Hitler and Stalin, we are at a proper place to know that we're not supposed to betray our people who have entrusted their trust in us and deemed us fit to keep their secrets. As I come to an end of my section, I want to advertise our merchandise at TK Lion, merchandise, t-shirts, lighters, calendars. You can get them from us. You can DM TK Lion. You can also DM me at Tilas Tobias on Instagram to get our merchandise. One t-shirt goes for 850, but if you're a loyalist, we can talk. We love loyalists and we can talk. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen to me on Spotify. This is Tilas Tobias from the Simba Angle of View. Next time, guys.